One of the 6 things we have to remember every day, Shisho Zechiros, 6 things. One of the 6 is to remember מעמד Har Sinai. To remember how the Torah was given at Har Sinai. As it says in the Pasuk, it's in the Siddur after Tfilah Shachris, after Aleinu L'Shabeach, Rak yishomer lecho shmor nafshecho me'od. Be very careful, lest you forget, pen tishkach es advorim asher ra'u einecho, lest you forget the things you have seen with your own eyes, ופן יוסור מלבובך כל ימי חייך. והודעתם לבונך ולבני בונך, יום אשר עמדתו לפני השם אלוקיך בחורב. Remember the day you stood in front of Hashem Elokecho b'chorev, at the Har Chorev. So it's a mitzvah aseh d'oraisa. It's a mitzvah aseh d'oraisa to remember the מעמד Har Sinai. So we're going to speak tonight, since it is in the Sedre, which we read today, Vayikro Elov Hashem min ohor leimor, Hashem called to Moshe, and he said, Ko soimar leveis Yaakov v'saged livnei Yisrael. So you should speak to the house of Yaakov v'saged livnei Yisrael, and you should tell to the children of Israel. And Rashi brings a Mechilte, it's a Midrash Rabbo. It's also brought down in the Midrash Rabbo. Kol soimar leveis Yaakov, these are the women. V'saged livnei Yisrael, those are the men. And the Midrash notices from here, points out that the order of giving the Torah was first to the women and then to the men. And why? We know that the men are more mitzuvim, are more commanded than women. There are many mitzvahs which women are poto, they are not obliged to do. The mitzvahs are seishes mangromo, all the mitzvahs which are limited in the time, women are poto, while men are chayiv, are obliged with all the mitzvahs. So logically, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should have said to Moshe Rabbeinu, first you address yourself to the men, and then to the women. Why first to the women and then to the men? So the Midrash Rabbo brings a few reasons. One reason is because women have got more zrizus than men. Zrizus means, I don't know how you say zrizus. They are more eager, they are less lazy. They are more quick, more active and quicker in doing things. Women are quicker than men. For example, when you see, when it comes to put some order in the house, to clean the house, clean the kitchen. If I want to do it, it will take me maybe the whole day. While when it's my wife who does it, it takes, you just open your eyes and it's done. So they've got more zrizes. They're very quick. It's interesting. The Midrash Rabbo says, that's the first reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Torah to women. Because they have got more zrizes. And since zrizim makdim mitzvahs, they deserve to be the first. They deserve to be the first to receive the Torah. While men are not as zoris, not as zorizim, they don't have such an impressment, they're not so quick, they come in second place. It's interesting. It's a Midrash Rabbo. The second reason, also very interesting, because women, they have got the job to educate the children, especially when they are young. They are in the house, and the children, when they are young age, they stay in the house, they don't go to cheder yet, So they've got more contact with the little children. And because of the education of the children, they deserve to receive the Torah first. They need to receive the Torah first because they are going to give it over to their children. That's also very interesting. And then there's the third reason, and that is the one I want to talk about. That is extraordinary. Hear what the Midrash says. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, what caused Chave Imenu, our mother Chave, to listen to the serpent, to the Nochosh, and to eat from the Eitz HaDas? What caused her to do that? Hear what the Midrash says. Because I told Adam Rishon first. I commanded him first. And I told him, Mikol Eitz HaGon Echol Toichal Eitz HaDas Tovor Lo Tochal Mimenu. And I commanded him not to eat from the Eitz HaDas. And then he said to Chave Imenu, he repeated the order. So she received the order from Adam Rishon. She didn't receive the order from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. First, Adam Rishon heard the order, the commandment, and then he gave it over to Chava. And because of that, she sinned. Therefore, said HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if I will give the Torah first to the man, then the women will again do the same thing. They'll be mevatel the Torah. They will stop men from doing the Torah. The same as she did with Adam Rishon. She ate from the Eitz HaDas and she gave to her husband. It will repeat again itself, the history. Therefore, I must do differently. This time I'm going to give the Torah first to the women. Like that, I'm sure they will keep it. And if the women keep the Torah, everything is fine. Everything is all right. And Take, we find later on, we'll read later on in the Chumash, that it was helpful, very helpful. For example, the Chet HaEgel, women did not participate in the Chet HaEgel. When there was a rebellion, they wanted to go back to Egypt. The women didn't want to go back to Egypt. They were eager to have a chelek, a portion in Eretz Israel. So we see that this logic to tell the women first in order they should not transgress the Torah, that worked. It worked. And what is interesting is the reason why Chave Imenu did the chet of Eitz HaDas was because she was not the first to receive the Tzivui Hashem, the order of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What lies in that? What is the difference if she's the first or not the first? The reason is poshut, obvious. It's a question of chashivus. It's a question of importance. If she feels, if Chave Imenu was the first to receive the Tzivui Hashem, then she would have felt important enough. She would have felt her own importance. Look, I'm the first one to whom HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke before my husband. So I'm more important than my husband. She would realize that importance. And then she would be very careful. She would feel very responsible. And since it didn't happen that way, so she felt a bit, any rate, what am I? I'm not so important. If I do it, if I don't it, what's the difference? And here we are touching a very important point in psychology, which Chazal tell us. Chazal tell us, be very careful. Give yourself the importance which is due to you. It's not an exaggeration. You have to realize your own importance. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to the women first, because he didn't want that the sin of Eitz HaDas should repeat itself again, they should know their importance now. It's not kind of flattery or chanifus. It's the only real thing. because women are more important. I don't know if I told you the story of the Medrash already once. It doesn't matter. The Medrash tells us there were two couples. One couple was a Roshe and a Resha. That means the man was a Roshe and the woman and the wife was a Resha. We were both Reshoim. And the other couple was a Chassid and a Chasido. It means Chassid in the terms of the Medrash means more than a tzaddik. Outstandingly frum. After many years, they didn't have children, both. So they divorced. And the Chassid married the Resha, and the Roshe married the Chasido. The Medrash says, Lo oyu yomim muotim. It didn't last long. That the Roshe became a Chassid, and the Chassid became a Roshe. And the Medrash says the conclusion is, from here we learn everything depends in a marriage on the wife. That means the greatness of the husband depends on the wife. It's always the wife who has the influence on the husband, not the husband on the wife. It's a Medrash. And it's very revealing, this Medrash. And one should realize, women should realize the importance they have in their home. They are going to give the tune. They are playing the tune. It's not the husband. Although it seems it's a husband who orders in the house. It's only like that on the outside. But underneath, behind the scene, as we say, it is the wife who pulls the strings. It's not the husband. And Chazal have told us that. So when the Torah gives importance to the women, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to give the Torah, before the man, according to this third explanation of the Medrash, that is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted this time that his tzivuim, his orders, should be followed. It shouldn't happen again as it happened in the beginning of the creation with the Chet of the Eitz Hadas. So it was a tikkun for the Chet of the Eitz Hadas. It was a remedy. This new order, called Teimar Lebeis Yaakov, was in order to mend the, let's say, not the mistake, we cannot say HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a mistake, but that reason why she had sinned in the beginning. And it worked. And it worked. This point of giving an importance, how it can change things tremendously. What should be the priority of things? We'll see the same idea, we'll develop it a bit further in another Ma'amar Chazal, just a few psukim before, which you probably know. It says in Perek Yutes, we are now reading in Perek Yutes, Pasuk Beis, Vayisu me'afidim vayovohu midbar Sinai. They left Refidim and they came to Midbar Sinai. Vayachanu ba'midbar, and they camped in the Midbar. Vayichan shom Yisrael neged Ohor, and Yisrael camped in front of the mountain. And Rashi brings a Medrash. Vayichan, why the singular? Keish echad belev echad, like one man with one heart. Avol she'or kol hachaniyos b'taroimos u'b'machloikis. All the other times when the Yidden camped, it was always with complaints and with disputes. This time when they camped in front of the mountain of Sinai, that was the only one time when there was no machloikis, there was no quarrels amongst the Yidden, and there was no complaints. Suddenly they became angels. When they came in front of the Har Sinai, the Yidden became angels, as if they had no Yetzer Hara anymore. What happened? If they were complaining the whole time, as we know before, no water to drink, you don't have any tombs left in Egypt to take us in this midbar, or what are we to eat, and so on, and later on it's going to start again. Why just when they came in front of the Har Sinai, they didn't have any complaints, they didn't make any machloikes. So we are going to give it for that an explanation in this medrash. We are going to give three reasons, three ways to explain it. First of all, as a base for all the three explanations, we should know the Yidden, when they came to in front of the mountain of Sinai, they knew quite well they were going to receive the Torah. They didn't have to wait until Moshe Rabbeinu went up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when he came back with a message, do you want to receive the Torah? And then the Yidden said, Naaseh v'nishma. No. Even before, when they pitched their tent in front of the mountain of Sinai, they were told, look, this mountain, this is Har Sinai. This is the mountain where HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself to me within the burning bush. And he told me the whole purpose of Yetzias Mitzrayim is that what's going to happen on this mountain. Ta'avdu nesei Elokim al hor hazeh. And they didn't knew that. When they came in front of Har Sinai, they knew already. They were eager, they were expecting it. When are we going to come to that place and receive the Torah? Not only the Yidden were waiting, the whole world was waiting. Because in that מעמד Har Sinai was going to be the tikkun of the chetz of the Eitz Hadas. There was going not to be mended what Adam Rishon had faulted. And all the terrible things which happened because of the chet of Adam Rishon, all that was going to be mended now. So it was the tikkun of all humanity, not only of the Klal Yisrael. As our Chazal tell us, at the time of Matan Torah, if the Yidden did not make the Hegel later on again, they wouldn't have died anymore. They had come to the same level as Adam Rishon before the Chet. When they said Naaseh v'nishma, they came right up to the Madrega of Adam Rishon lifnei HaChet, Kodem HaChet. So there was a big expectation when the Yidden came in front of Har Sinai. And then what? There is a pasuk which Rabbeinu Yoinu in Sharet Shuvah brings. Pasuk in Mishle. Letaivo yevakesh nifrod. Someone who has a taivo, a physical desire, a material desire, he must be separated from the people around him. Anybody who is a Baal Taiva, anybody who is dominated by his desires, physical desires, must be separated from people. How does he explain it? He says very posh, it's very easy. If I want something, yes, I want something for myself, and I don't have it, and someone else, I find that the other person is responsible for the thing I want, and he doesn't want to give it to me, surely I'm going to hate him for that. For example, I'll give you an example. I go to my boss and I ask for a rise. I want more money. And the boss refuses. He says he doesn't have money. Right? I'm not forced to believe him that he doesn't have money. That taiva of wanting more money will surely bring into my heart a feeling of grudge, of hatred. That's one example. And there are many other examples like that. Another example. Someone has done me a wrong. Has taken money from me, insulted me, lacked respect towards me, and I want covet. Who doesn't want covet? I want to be respected. I'm not a shmate. I'm going to hate that person, to keep a grudge, because I want covet. So a taiva, if we have a taiva, one way or another, and one moment or another it will spark a machlokes, a complaint, a taroimus, a grudge, and the grudge will develop into a quarrel, a machlokes. That's what Rashi said. All the other times when the Yidden camped with their tent, they had complaints and they had quarrels. Complaints breed quarrels. A quarrel is always from a complaint. Someone did me an avle, has damaged me or something in my body or in my possessions, and I can't bear it. It hurts me. Why does it hurt me? Because I want covet. I want money. Any taiva which is connected with something on this world, in other words, which is vulnerable, any taiva which is connected with something of this world which is vulnerable, must lead sooner or later to a complaint and to a grudge and to סיני, to jealousy, and to hatred. That's what Rabbeinu Yenu says on this pasuk in Mishle, letaivo yevakesh nifrot. Someone who is dominated by taivo, it will surely become a nifrot. Nifrot means pirud, someone who is separated. There cannot be a real union amongst Yidden as long as they have got taiva. They cannot be. Either they will be jealous from each other, or they will be because of competition, concurrency, one does better than the other, or just because they keep a grudge towards each other, because there are frictions and there are always things happening, because they lack derech eretz towards each other. One way or another, as long as there is taiva amongst us, there cannot be real achdus. And we know that since Adam Rishon ate from the Eitz Hadas, there came into him the Yetzer Hara. There came into him this situation of taiva, le taiva yevakesh nifrot. And we know straight afterwards what happened. Cain vehevel, that was a direct consequence of the Eitz Hadas, jealousy and murder. As we said, I think at the beginning of the year, I'm not sure, we quoted the Medrash which said 26 generations had to pass from the Eitz Hadas until Matan Torah before man would be capable of eating from the Eitz HaChaim. You know, in the middle of the Gan Eden there was Eitz Hadas and there was Eitz HaChaim. Yes, there were two trees besides all the other trees which were good to eat, and there was the Eitz Hadas, Tovora, and there was the Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life. Now, what is the tree of life? The tree of life is Torah. That tree of life was Torah. Once Adam Rishon ate from Eitz Hadas, HaKadosh Baruch Hu threw him out of the Gan Eden, and he forbade him to go back to Gan Eden with the two cheruvim and with the sword of flame which was turning. Why? Because he might go back to the Gan Eden, he'll eat from the Eitz HaChaim, and he'll live forever. And I don't want him to live forever. Why? Why I don't want him to live forever? So on this pasuk, lishmor es derech Eitz HaChaim, to keep the path of the Eitz HaChaim, there's a medrash which said, lishmor es derech ze derech eretz, to keep the path that refers to derech eretz. Derech eretz. Eitz HaChaim, that refers to Torah. Mikan, from here we learn, derech eretz kodmo la Torah. Derech eretz precedes the Torah. We know this proverb always. When a child misbehaves in class, we tell him, derech eretz kodmo la Torah. But really, it's a medrash. Derech eretz kodmo la Torah, it's a medrash. And we learn it from that pasuk. Since HaKadosh Baruch Hu put there those two kruvim to keep the path from the Eitz HaChaim, so that Adam Rishon should not go back to eat from the Eitz HaChaim. Why? Lest he will eat from the Eitz HaChaim and live forever. From here we learn that Derech Eretz Kodmo LaTorah. How? And then the Midrash goes on to say, 26 generations Derech Eretz preceded the Torah. In other words, the 26 generations from the Eitz Hadas till Matan Torah, that refers to Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz Kodmo LaTorah for 26 generations. What does that mean? It means if Adam Rishon would have eaten from Torah, would have learned Torah, would have received the Torah straight after he has eaten from the Eitz Hadas, when he was overcome by his Yetzer Hara, not only the Torah wouldn't have helped him to cure himself from his Yetzer Hara, but Rashi says there, and brings a Chazal, he would have become so arrogant that he is learning Torah and that he is living forever and is Zoicher to Olam Habo. He is like God himself, and he will make all the other creatures of the world to rebel against HaKadosh Baruch Hu and tell them, I am God. And will make himself an Avodah Zorah. He'll make himself an idol, same as Paro, the same as Nebuchadnezzar. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu threw him out of Gan Eden and told him, you are not allowed to enter in this Gan Eden anymore. So when will I receive the Torah? Wait. First Derech Eretz. What is Derech Eretz then? Derech Eretz means Tikkun HaMidos. Tikkun HaMidos means perfection of character. No gaive. No gaive. No kine. No kovet. Akine, Vataive, Vakovoi, Moitzi, Nesodom Minoim. That is the Derech. That was the purpose of the 26 generations, which had to elapse before Matan Torah, so that the humanity, Klal Yisrael, should be able to perfect itself in Derech Eretz. So that by learning Torah, by receiving the Torah will not become a poison, will not give them this arrogance, this terrible arrogance to think I am a God. Baruch Hashem, us now, we know that we are living forever. We are ma'aminim, that doesn't make us gods. Not one of us think we are gods. That is already the achievement of after Matan Torah. Because there was a Ma'amad Har-Sinai, because we have achieved this Madreg of Naseh v'Nishma, because we have reached the Madreg of Adam Rishon, Koydem Achet, although we lost it afterwards with Egel, but still we achieved something. What did we achieve? That we are well aware that we are eternal, and it doesn't disturb us. Just the opposite. The more we are aware that we are eternal, and the more we are full of humility and gratefulness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the more we try to keep the Torah and the mitzvahs, it doesn't become a poison like it could have done before Matan Torah. And that's what it means, Derech Eretz Kodmo LaTorah. Although there were a few exceptions. There were a few exceptions in the Yiddish history, like Achitophel, for example, famous. There was one Achitophel, who lacked in Derech Eretz, although it was after Matan Torah. He had such an arrogance, as we know the story of Achitophel. And Taki, he lost his Olam Habo, he lost his Chelik in Olam Habo. And why? Because of his arrogance in Torah. Because he was such a great Gaon, such a great Talmid Chacham, Davke. Because of that, he became poisoned by his knowledge of Torah. Because he was lacking in Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz Kodmo LaTorah. And that's how we must understand. Adam Rishon, who was the greatest of all the Nevi'im, was the most humble of all the people on earth. It must go together. If the knowledge of Moshe Rabbeinu, what did I say, Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest Novi on earth. He had to be the greatest in Novi in humility as well. Otherwise, his great knowledge, his great Chochmah would have poisoned him. It's impossible not to. Derech Eretz Kodmo LaTorah. And therefore, when the Yidden came in front of the mountain of Sinai, they knew they were going to achieve that at long last. 26th generation. They are the generation who is the 26th. And they are going now to achieve what the Rishon could not achieve after the Chet. So they knew what was the bargain. And they knew they had to completely annul themselves with all their taivas. No taivas anymore. Otherwise, there is a danger again. The Torah will poison them instead of improving them. For that one time, they could achieve that. They did achieve it. And that's how they could say Nasev and Nishma. Because they had no personal want anymore. One thing they wanted to do the Ritzvin Hashem. Nothing else. And therefore, of course, they were united completely. For what should they quarrel about? What is there to quarrel? What? They didn't want anything except to do the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what is there to quarrel? There's nothing to quarrel about. You can add a second explanation on that one, which is not really another explanation which completes it. That there is a word of Rab Simcha Zissel, the Alter Kelm, who said that a man should always progress in higher sources of pleasure. He gives an example. A child progresses. This is very striking. A child, how he goes from one stage to another in pleasure, in toys, for example. You find toys up to 2 years old, toys from 2 to 5, and from 5 onwards, because we know that according to the knowledge of the child, the growing of his mind, he has got different toys, different sources of pleasure. Well, it shouldn't be reserved to children, really. Adults also should progress in their toys. We adults also have got toys. We also have got sources of pleasure. But the tragedy is, for the children, everything is very defined. From 6 months to 2 years, from 2 years to 5, and so on. For adults, nobody has given us any limits. In other words, one can be an old man of 90 years and still wanting to drive sport cars and like a young man. Why not? We hear such stories like that. Why is that at a certain age the growth of a person stops? Perhaps the President says it should go on. The source of pleasure should progress. How? He says the same as an adult. He looks at children playing with toy cars. Is he going to be jealous of the children who play with the toy cars? The children, what is a toy car? It's a toy. It's no value whatsoever. Well, someone who learns Torah, someone who progresses in Torah, in Dveikus B'Hashem, in attachment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he should also reach a level of pleasure, of spiritual pleasure, in the Ritzoin Hashem, which should be so great as to shadow completely all the toys, in brackets, which other adults play with. And instead of being jealous, when we see people driving beautiful cars and having nice mansions and a lot of money, instead of being jealous and unhappy that we don't have it, the same as an adult is not unhappy that he doesn't have the toy cars, because he has got something else to play with. We should realize also that we have something else, much more important to play with, and not to play with those things which other adults play with. And what is that thing we have? The Rabbeinu Yoina says in Sharet Shuvah, Taivas HaTzadikim Mina Hatzloches, the greatest success for the tzadikim, and their biggest desire, their utopia, what is it? Ulehofi grotzen me Hashem, is to be wanted by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be loved by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to reach the Ritzoin Hashem, to behave in such a way which HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, my son, that's the way I want you to go into. Igid lecha do matoiv, umo Hashem doirish mimcha, ki masois mishpot ve'avas chesed, ve'atznei aleches im Elokecha. And this is the way I want you to go into. And if you go into that way, to do justice and chesed and humility on top of everything, then I will love you like a father loves his own child. And for the tzaddikim, that is the greatest pleasure of all. That's what Rabbeinu Yonah says. And he says this word, Ritzoino, to reach the Ritzoin Hashem. Achayim hakayomim v'amitiyim. Once the tzaddik has reached the Ritzoin Hashem, the will of Hashem, that corresponds to eternal life, to true life. And that corresponds to Or HaGodol, to the great light, which includes Akoilel Kol HaNeimus, all pleasantnesses, all kinds of pleasant things. Now again, the great light which includes all pleasant things in the world. In other words, in the world there are many pleasant things, but they are divided. To eat is a pleasant thing. To have children is a pleasant thing. To have a lot of money is a pleasant thing. And so on and so on. A lot of pleasant things. But there is the great light, the light of Ritzoin Hashem. The tzaddik, once he has reached this light, this great light includes all the pleasant things. One light includes all the pleasant things. Or HaGodol HaKoilel Kol HaNeimus. How can we explain that? Something so hard to explain. This great light, HaKoilel Kol HaNeimus. But when someone achieves something, overcomes a taiva, gets liberated from a certain taiva which up to now had enslaved him, and suddenly he breaks out free, he can realize this kind of happiness. As he says in another pasuk, a taiva which is broken is a pleasant thing for the soul. One has to try. When we know where we are enslaved by certain habits, and we know ourselves that we should do something to be liberated from them, but we don't muster the courage or the willpower. But if we would know that to taste that great light, that's the only way to get liberated from the taivas, and this great light includes all the pleasant things, then we would realize that all the toys which other adults play with are just toys. It would be a gelechter. It's just ridiculous for us. We won't feel any envy because we have got something greater than that. If we are still envious, it's because we are lacking that great light. We are lacking that ambition of the tzaddikim to have the Ritzoin Hashem and to taste it, to taste that great light. So here we have reached again the same idea, the same point which I started in the beginning of the year. To know the importance. What is the priority in life? What is our goal? That is what assures our progress. If we don't want to be stunted and retarded in growth, and to stay 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, and be like a child of 5 years old, to have the same sense of pleasure, always the same stupid things, not to move, not to progress, not to change, always with COVID, money, food, and that with that kind of progress we should stay till the end of our lives. Can't we get liberated from that and go a bit forward, above all that, like the tzaddikim? And we have got the way written for us. The Torah, so many Sforim, Sifrei Kodesh, will tell us what to do. Once we know the importance, the Yidden, when they realized that, they were going to achieve that, the Or HaGodel, this great fire of Matan Torah. When they heard the voice of Hashem Yisborach, Mamish, it was like Olam Haba. They died on the spot. Then there was no point to quarrel and to complain. In front of that great light, everything became like ridiculous. Why should I fight for covet, for money, for shtusim, stupid things. When they came to מעמד, Sinai, then there was complete unity. Because Klal Yisrael, V'oraisa, V'kudsha Brichu Chadu, and the same as HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's all one. Klal Yisrael, when they integrate themselves in the Torah, they became like HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Echad. Umi Kamcha Yisrael Goy Echad. Ato Echad v'Shimcha Echad. Umi Kamcha Yisrael Goy Echad Ba'oretz. Keish Echad Belev Echad. Because they became integrated in the Torah, in this great light. And the Torah is Echad. Then there is no machlekes, no jealousy, no hatred, no grudge at all. Because all that loses all the importance. So now we have joined that idea again. The importance. The importance of what we have to have our goal in life.